Hi, this is Christina with the Sisyphean Journal, and it's rolled around again, Pride Month. The month where people with unusual sexual proclivities, and I'm just saying unusual, they're not, here's the bell curve, you're here, you're not where most people are. Doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean anything like that, just means that you're outside the range of typical, okay? Everybody is supposed to put up new logos and wave the latest flag and just get all enthused about what you do in your bedroom and what pronouns you use. Why? Meanwhile, and there's this whole month where people will get bullied and canceled. One year, some poor guy running a yarn shop had his calendar, his print calendar, which of course was made far in advance. And unfortunately, he had forgotten that you have to have rainbow color yarn for June. Couldn't use the green yarn. And this gay man was bullied until his partner had to put him in the hospital to keep him from committing suicide. That's what you're doing during Pride Month. Everybody, every business, every nonprofit, every human, every dog and cat is expected to relentlessly cheer on people for their sex lives. Meanwhile, let's look at Down syndrome. They're born this way, okay? People didn't ask to have Down syndrome. It's not a lifestyle choice. And they are literally targeted for extermination. I think it's Iceland is pushing for 0 Down syndrome. They want every single baby with Down syndrome to be identified in the womb and aborted so that they can achieve their utopia of 0 people with Down syndrome. Now imagine if there was a gay gene or a trans gene and there was this huge drive to identify LGBTQ alphabet people in the womb and weed them out so that there wouldn't be any of these troubling people walking around. There would be legitimate outrage. People with Down syndrome, a condition that is literally targeted for extermination. They don't have this Pride Month where they demand that every single breathing organism get on board with celebrating them. They've got one day a year. It's March 21st, 3/21 for 3 copies of the 21st chromosome. And all they're asking is that you recognize that they're human beings worthy of love, tolerance, and respect. Drag Queen Story Hour is supposedly about teaching acceptance and tolerance. One of the Drag Queen Story Hour people invited somebody with Down syndrome to the library to read the kids a story. Because people with Down syndrome, evidently to the woke left, are far too yucky. You wouldn't want kids to get the idea that they're okay, that they should be welcomed into society. Every time Down Syndrome Day rolls around and every time Pride Month rolls around, I am reminded of the difference. All people with Down syndrome want is to be allowed to live, to not be considered such undesirable elements that entire nations start programs to weed them out in the womb so that they can just die off and nobody has to deal with them anymore. So you can take your Pride Month and you can shove it. Okay, live and let live. And that includes people with Down syndrome. And next time you're talking about these eugenic abortions where you should be allowed to identify kids with traits that you consider undesirable, stop and think. If there was a gay gene or a trans gene, or they were doing an ultrasound and they noticed ambiguous genitals, and there was this drive to abort fetuses that had these traits, what would that say? It says the same thing when you're doing it to babies that have conditions that you think are bad, like Down syndrome.